Hi everyone and welcome to the start of this new series covering how to do board games. This is in honor of Steam's current festival all about board games available on Steam. So if you want to make your own board game, jump in to this series. Now for this we will be using our dice that we've made in a previous tutorial. So by all means check out that in the description below and follow along with that first before joining this one if you want to use the same dice as we got in there. Now, in this episode, we're going to start off by setting up the board pieces and discussing how they're going to work and how they communicate to the pawns. So let's jump in straight away and take a look. So, quick tour of what we've currently got in here. As I mentioned, we are using the dice from our previous dice series, and nothing's changed here. It's just imported in, migrated across from the other project. And here I've got a pawn model that I made using the modeling mode inside of Unreal. So, I just made a quick pawn. And you want to just make sure that your pawn has a collision around it. So if we go around to show the simple collision, you want to make sure you've got some simple collision around it. That's all. Okay. So we're going to close that there. And we're going to use this space that comes with a third-person template to help us block out our board game. And we're going to do a very simple board game. As there are various different rules and different things you can do with board games, we're going to show something generic with the board spaces, so you can sort of customize it to your own liking and to your own game board rules. So let's first of all create the board spaces. So in our folder, we're going to create a new blueprint class and we'll create an actor. And we'll call this one board space. And open it up. In board space, we need to have a mesh, so we need to have something you can actually see. So I'm just going to use a cube. And we'll squash that down. I'll make that 0.2 there. And I'll make it a bit bigger as well. Make it 2 and 2. There and there. Okay, so whatever size, shape, totally up to you what you want to go with. And that is our main board space. Now, for the board space, we need to place them into our scene here. So what I've done here is I'm going to turn on my snaps onto 100 here. And we're going to drag them out like so. Okay, so we need to make up a board first of all. So let's quickly whip through this. So I'm just going to create this corner here and try and make it as square as I can. If I do one half, I can just duplicate it to the other half. How we're looking here. So here, I'm trying to make it even. So here, this is going up with the edge here with that. That isn't. So I'm going to get rid of that and just change the spacing between these ones here. So it might be like a 2 spacing between them. No, that's not good either. We'll do something like this then. And we'll put this one over here. So these ones go one across, but align the top and the edges there. So we're going to one across, edges. And the same goes for this side. So we're going to go one across, line up tops and bottoms. And we're 2 away from the edge there, 2 away from the edge, line up the edge there. Okay. So these ones I'm just going to offset slightly. We're going to change these to 50. Just to get them nice and evenly spaced. Yep, liking that. And what I'm going to do then is I'm going to select all of this. I'm going to click that. And using the Alt key, I'm going to use a rotation tool to rotate them around. I should really turn snap on for that. There we go. And move that into the correct position, which is there. Okay. Trying to make it mirror the other side up too as well. And then we're going to just take this out here. Like that. And I can just do that across to there. There we go. A simple board. And obviously you do whatever shape you want. We're just making it go round, around, and collect counters, something really basic. But these board spaces are going to have functionality on them. And I want to make them generic so we can use them for different types of boards and different types of games. And you never know, you may want to tweak the rules to as you're playtesting to allow for different rule sets. So what we're going to do is in our board space, I set up a few things in here. The first thing is we're going to have a couple of event dispatches on this one. So we're going to have on landed. So this is when a pawn has landed on the space. And then we're going to have on passed. And that'd be for when a pawn has passed the space. So if you want to think like Monopolies, when you pass go, you don't necessarily have to land on it. You just have to pass it to get the effect from it. And that will come from there. Now, each board space needs to know about its corresponding adjacent board spaces and which way you want to let the player to go. So let's do that. Now, there's several ways you can automate this process, but what we're going to do is show you the manual method. Because I want you to just understand the concept of what's going on here. And if you want to think of an automated method, I'll talk about those in a second. So we'll need to have adjacent spaces as a variable on our board space. And this will be a reference to another board space. So just put BP board space as a class reference. But this will be an array because we want maybe have multiple. Okay, you may have forking paths in it. And we're going to be showing that too. Then for each one, we need to assign their neighboring path to this. So in here, the adjacent spaces, we're going to add the instance editable tick box. And on each one, we can go to adjacent spaces and add the adjacent spaces. Okay. Now, if your game is only one direction, go around the board, you only have to put in one of these. You don't have to put in two, you just put in one. So actually what I might do is just put in the one in here. So this way, be that one. And then we're going to click on that one. And we're just going to go around the board. Like so. We can use that little, if you haven't noticed, I'm using this little eyedropper tool to pick an item from the world, and I'm using the middle one to focus on the next one, so I can make sure I'm getting all the ones I need to get and I'm missing any out. I go the right way around as well. But let's fast forward this bit and see when it's done. Okay, so we've gone around the whole entire board and added all our spaces in. But as I said, there's an option to do forking paths in this as well. So if you wanted to, we could put another board space in. So I'm going to put another one on here. We're going to just rotate it. So it's on the slope. Like that. And then we'll put that one over there. Just change this to 5 degrees there. Get them better lined up. There we go. And I can select these ones here and rotate them around 90 degrees. Put them there. And we also want to put some up top here. I'm going to get rid of this green circle. There we go. Put 1.5 spacing in between those, maybe. No, just one spacing there. But then the center. There we go. Yeah, like that. Okay. So up here, we've got some interesting things we could do with the gameplay. But first of all, let's set up the links between these ones. So I'm going to go ahead on this board space. I'm going to make this one give the option to either move on to move ahead or move up to that one. So that one is already pointing to this square here, but I want this one to also point to the other one. So I'm going to put there and click on that. And then this one can only go one, go this way across the board. So I'm going to pick that one. And we'll give this one space there too. Give them multiple options. This one. This one. This one in the middle, we can go all directions. We can make it go there, 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 and there. Okay, so now we've got board spaces with multiple directions going into it. But as we're developing a game, it might be quite useful to have some way of us to easily see which way it is going which way, because it can get quite confusing quite fast. So as a developing tool, what you may want to do is add a debug arrow to draw in where you want to indicate where each tile is going. So let's go ahead and showcase how to do that. So I'm going to go into my board space class here. I'm going to go to the construction script, and in here we want to draw an arrow, or add an arrow component for each of our adjacent spaces here. So get adjacent spaces, do for each, and on the loop we're going to add arrow component. Now the arrow component's relative load transform, we're going to split this, and the location relative is going to be 0, 0, 0. It's going to start at the cube here. But the thing we're going to change is the rotation. So where is it going to point to indicate where the next tile can go? And that'd be based upon this. So I need to find the look at rotation between this actor and this actor here. So I'm going to get the actor location and get the actor location of the current space here. And I want to find the look at between the two. Now this will give us a world rotation. So if I compiled that, for example, it will look a bit weird because I won't look the right way. Yeah. And some are pointing completely wrong direction. So we need to somehow turn our world rotation here to a relative transform rotation here. So the way we do that is with the transform nodes. So if you look at here, we've got a transform rotation, and this transforms here a local space rotation to a world space rotation. Now in this case, I'm going from world to local, which is relative. Relative means local. So I'm going to go to inverse transform rotation instead. I'm going to plug that in there. And with the transform, we just need to put in actor transform. And hit compile. And there you go, we've successfully turned our arrows into the correct way. Now, at the moment, they look a bit small and they're kind of inside of these tiles. So let's rise them up out of there. So I'm going to go into the Z here and put in like 30 in the Z there. And there you go, you can kind of see it working. And so this doesn't actually do anything for us in the game. This just allows us to just visualize what we're doing with our game setup here. Makes it a lot easier for us when we're debugging this to see what's going on. It's worthwhile to consider adding these sort of debug visuals to help you when you're developing your game. It can really save you a lot of time and effort, as you don't no longer have to guess what is going to be connected to what. You can easily see, and if we make changes to what is the neighboring partners, it'll just automatically update and add more or change the arrows. So consider doing this for your own projects, be it the board game one or other ones. It can be quite useful when you think about it. So in the next episode, we're going to start looking at the actual mechanics of the turns and how we do turns between different players. Now, we are going to be making this multiplayer so we can play it with other people. So bear that in mind when we go into the next episode, which you can find, by the way, on patreon.com/Ryan Laley. We can find all our videos early from just $1 a month. A massive thank you to all our patrons, YouTube members, and everyone else supporting the channel. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. Bye, everyone.